I call to order the May 7th, 2018 regular business meeting of the Cincinnati Board of Education. We welcome everyone and request everyone in the audience to please silence your cell phones and electronic devices. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Present.
Mrs. Copeland-Dansby?
Present.
Mr. Messer?
Present.
Mr. Morosky?
Present.
President Jones?
Here. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting April 23rd, 2018, and the business meeting April 23rd, 2018.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. Mr. Messer, as chair of the Finance Committee, please present the April 24th, 2018 Audit Committee meeting report on behalf of the Audit Committee.
Yes, thank you. The Audit Committee met on the 24th. It opened with a presentation discussing some of the data behind current abatements and some data that will perhaps direct that team to look deeper into the number of abatements that we believe are have been granted versus those that we have internally listed and billed for. So that is ongoing work. Melanie, is there anything you would add?
No, well, and if you had access to the Enquirer, you probably saw what was presented to us in the form of an editorial by Don Mooney. And I know that people are pretty jazzed in the community about the abatement issue, which I think is very interesting.
So that will be obviously a topic that they will continue. As you know, the Audit Committee has done a fantastic job bringing together finance people and people with lots of other experiences from across the community who advise and evaluate topics to ensure that we are operating at the best interest of our taxpayers. And I think this is one of those items that absolutely generated a lot of conversation in that committee and is generating a lot of conversation outside of the walls of CPS. And so we will stay focused on that and make sure that there is belief and trust in the process and full transparency on behalf of taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of accepting the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Superintendent Mitchell, will you please introduce our presentations for the night?
Yes, so this evening I have the
distinct honor and some wonderful, very exciting presentations. The first one is to start with a celebration for a Mr. Bob Cook. So Mr. Bob Cook, please come down front. So Mr. Bob Cook is a custodian at Sands Montessori, and he serves over 680 students each and every day and was named 2018 Janitor of the Year by Cintas Corporation. So last week, representatives from Cintas paid a surprise visit to the school and presented Mr. Bob with a check for $5,000. Mr. Bob was able to win over 200,000 votes, cast over a 4-week-long period. There were 3,200 nominations nationwide, and he was among the top 10 and then became the finalist. He has been working at Sands for 15 years. Sands Montessori will also receive a check for $5,000. So we thank you so much for your service and all that you do on behalf of our kids each and every day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, and before you go back up, we want you to receive the gift at the end of the table.
Thank you so much.
At the mic.
Mr. Bob's favorite food is Skyline Pepsi. Skyline here, but for later.
So, Mr. Bob, before you leave, you can't get away that quickly. So I was just, for board members, does any board member have a comment? We just want to thank you for all that you do and to let you know that your job is so important to our students. And we know that students at the school, they know you and they appreciate you. The parents appreciate you. We appreciate you. So. Thank you so much again. Ms. Mitchell.
Yes, okay, so I told you this is a night of celebrations. Our second presentation will be provided by Dr. Woods from the Ohio State Young Scholars.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you to Superintendent Mitchell, as well as Board President Jones and Vice President Copeland-Dansby. Thank you so much for having us, and members of the board, thank you for having us today. I just want to tell a little bit about the Young Scholars Program for those who don't know. As Superintendent Mitchell stated, my name is Rochelle Woods. I am Director of the Young Scholars Program, and the Young Scholars Program is actually celebrating its 30th year. This year, we were founded in 1988, and Cincinnati Public Schools is one of our longtime, really great school district partners. We are in 9 school districts in Ohio: Akron, Canton, Cleveland, Dayton, Columbus, of course, Cincinnati, Lorraine, Youngstown, and I feel like I skipped 1 or 2, but we're in all the 9 major cities in Ohio, plus Lorraine. And we work with students from 8th grade throughout their graduation from college, so throughout their completion of a bachelor's degree. So first, make sure that students know how to prepare for college and that they are doing all the right things. We do ACT prep. We have monthly workshops. We meet with them one-on-one. To make sure that they're taking a rigorous schedule. We have summer programs as well as visitations on campus. And while they are enrolled at Ohio State, we provide them with a whole variety of support services, including success coaching, peer mentoring. We have a summer bridge program. So our goal is really to get the students from 8th grade through completion of a bachelor's degree. So these students that are standing here have completed a really important milestone in that they are graduating from high school, and they've completed our pre-college portion, and they are headed to Ohio State in a few months. So our program coordinator for Cincinnati is Miss Lawson. Where is Miss Lawson? She always disappears in the background. Stand up, Miss Lawson. So Ms. Lawson is the staff member that's based in Cincinnati and really works with the students on a daily basis. And so I just want to acknowledge her. And I just want to say a couple of thank yous while I'm here, because we have a lot of partners in the district. I don't have time to acknowledge all of them, but I just want to acknowledge Tanya Ficklin. She's been a great supporter of our program. Kayla Rickles, the college manager, she has been a wonderful supporter. Melissa Green, who's a counselor at Riverview East. Leslie Hattemer, who's been a longtime supporter of our program, Mr. Sipple, who is the principal of Dater. So I just wanted to thank them publicly. So we have 13 scholars. Not all of them are here tonight. About half of them are here tonight. And I'm just going to acknowledge each one and tell you a little bit about them. They're going to come up as I call them. The first one is Lanisha Ako. She is graduating from Withrow University High School, graduating on May 29th, and she is planning to major in early childhood education. She is involved in a mentoring program and the Zonta Women's Club. Congratulations. Armani Barber, who is not with us today, who is graduating from Withrow University High School and planning to major in business. And he is involved in the softball team. Malaysia Bell. Malaysia is planning to major in criminal justice, and she plans to become a homicide detective. She is a sister of SCPA, a charity organization. Lauren Brimage, who is not here, is planning to major in physical therapy. Deidre Brock, who is also not present today, is planning to major in neuroscience and biomedical sciences and plans to be a physician. Jalen Daniel, graduating from Withrow University High School, is planning to major in nursing. Jamie Erskine from Riverview East High School has a career goal to work in the health field. Undecided major. Adriana Gordon. Adriana is planning to major in early childhood education, is president of the National Honor Society, runs track, and is in the College Peer Leadership Program, and is a CYC peer mentor for incoming high school freshmen. Rico Gordon is graduating from Taft High School. Rico is planning to major in athletic training and participates in the MORE program, and he is salutatorian of his class. Corey Lackey is from Shroder High School. Corey is planning to major in accounting and has a career goal to receive his degree in business. And his extracurricular activities, he is vice president of MORE. He participates in varsity baseball and football, and he is on the Cincinnati School Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. Marasia Miller, Clark Montessori High School, is not present. She is planning to major in nursing, and she participates in volleyball and cheerleading. Jada Rogers. Jada is graduating from Shroder High School, and she plans to major in public affairs and economics. She participates in basketball, volleyball, police cadets, the Mike DeWine Ohio Attorney General Teen Ambassador, National Honor Society, CPS Superintendent Advisory Board, and an organization called Girls to Women. And last but not least, Diamond Williams, who is graduating from Hughes STEM High School. Diamond is planning to major in business administration or child and youth studies, and she plans to own businesses and work with kids. She participates in cheerleading and student government and yearbook. So let's congratulate these young scholars and wish them well as they embark on their next step. Okay, thank you. Kids, get over here. Oh.
Can I ask, one moment, can we ask, maybe the board members might have a question or a comment for you or one of the, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7, 8 of the students? Any questions, comments? Ms. Copeland-Dansby?
Well, Ms. Woods, here we are again. Thank you so much for the work that you do with our students, and congratulations again to each and every one of you. I have a special appreciation for the Young Scholars Program. I had the opportunity, probably this time last year, to sit and listen to some of the testimony from your, I guess, co-students or colleagues or what have you, who talked about their experience in this program and all they were looking forward to and all they had been involved in. And it was so moving to me and for me that I distinctly remember that. So I want to charge each and every one of you all to stay in touch with us or find a way to communicate back to us your successes and go for it without stopping. Congratulations.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? But the young man from Shroder, which in the red shirt, is that you? Yeah. Are you doing your senior exit presentation?
Yes, May 20th.
I'll be there. I'm going to watch you. Thank you.
I I did forget one thing. These students have been awarded over $800,000 in
Wonderful.
scholarships over 4 years.
Thank you.
All right, so as you can see, we're changing things up just a little bit as we acknowledge our distinguished students with us this evening. So tonight we are honored to recognize the accomplishments of the valedictorians and salutatorians at each of our high schools. These students have worked extremely hard consistently throughout their high school career to obtain high marks in their coursework and have challenged themselves along the way to earn the ranking at the top of their classes for academic achievement. Tonight, our board, CPS administration, and entire community is here to congratulate you for your achievements and your accomplishments. We honor your families and your communities and your schools as we have supported you all along the way. I would like to also just recognize for just a moment all of the parents who are here supporting these fine young individuals. They are wearing stoles that were given to them by Parents for Public Schools right before this ceremony. So parents, if you could please stand and be recognized. Parents, friends, guardians, we thank you for entrusting Cincinnati Public Schools with your most valued asset and treasure, your child, your students, and so we appreciate you and could not do this work alone. I would like to ask the board members if you wouldn't mind coming up front so that you can recognize by shaking each person's hand.
So this is a great opportunity, something that is to be treasured, and it's my pleasure to introduce the schools and the principals to come up and talk about their students. So at this time, Ms. Lisa Vota in Aiken.
It is my honor to introduce to you Ms. Sydney Wyatt, Aiken High School valedictorian of class of 2018. Sydney will be attending Wright State University and will be studying finance. Sydney participates in GE Scholars, varsity cheer. She's a member of the softball team, academic team champ, and is captain of the college collaborative. Sydney says that during her time at Aiken New Tech, she learned the meaning of family. She says that she has a huge support system at Aiken and that Aiken is filled with people who believe in her. This has allowed her to become the caring and compassionate person for her peers. She is able to change her peers' perspectives about college and life, and she's happy to make that impact on someone else's life. Sydney Wyatt. It is also my privilege to introduce Brennan McCoy. Brennan is a salutatorian for the class of 2018. Brennan will be attending University of Cincinnati and will be studying archaeology. While at Aiken, Brennan has participated in academic team, choir, Project 38, GE Scholars, and National Honor Society. Brennan says that Aiken has meant many things to him, but mostly as a way to find himself. Without Aiken, he says he never would have been in the programs that he is in today, both in and out of school, and each one helping him discover who he can be. Brennan McCoy.
Our next school, Clark Montessori, Ms. Dean Blaze.
Thank you. It is absolutely a privilege to introduce these fine young people to you all. All of them, it goes out without saying, have exceptional GPAs and a range of experiences that have allowed them to explore the world, from Andros Island to the Dominican Republic, Hawaii, even NASA's Space Camp. These kids have already made the world a better place through their travels and through their engagement with it, and their incredible leadership at Clark and beyond. Specifically, we have two co-valedictorians. Jason Eichner was a top Division II swimmer in the state this year, representing Clark in the 100 backstroke. He's known among his peers for his extraordinary ability to memorize lots of formulas and for supporting his homework buddies on group chat. His goal is to study finance and to return to Cincinnati one day to carry on his family's business. Jason will be attending Bentley University. Our co-valedictorian, Ellie Jose, has an author's gift for metaphorical descriptions, was one of the first two Clark girls to qualify for regionals and cross country, and is going back to compete at the state level this spring, this time as a member of the Ultimate Frisbee team. Ellie's greatest passion at Clark, however, and when I met with all the kids and asked them to brag on each other, she said, wait, you must tell them I love steel drum. It is my passion. So this is Ellie Jose. And Ellie will be attending Yale University, and I think we'll discover what she wants to study there. We have co-salutatorians as well. Here with us this evening is Carson Hawk. His puns delight his peers, and they're too terrible to repeat here. He's successfully taken apart, rebuilt, and driven a 1960s classic Porsche Roadster. When he's not driving, he's running, and he had the distinction of representing Clark on the 4x4 track team at state last year. So Carson will be attending the University of Cincinnati College of Engineering and Applied Science. Carson's co-salutatorian is Catherine Wadia. Catherine's accomplishments range from launching parachutes at NASA to performing in a circus to constructing an enormous quilt by hand as part of her senior research project on feminism. After almost collapsing after her AP chemistry exam today, she went home and was not able to be here, but she received a full scholarship to Marietta College, where she will row at the collegiate level.
Next up, Mr. Sipple and Dater High School.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce to all of you our top graduates. First, the valedictorian of the class of 2018 from Dater High School, Mr. Raphael Hicks. Raphael has been a student at Dater High School since the 7th grade. He's the co-president of the National Honor Society, vice president of Dater's chapter of Moore, has also served as the treasurer of that organization for 2 years. He was the section leader of the senior marching band for 3 years and field commander of the senior marching band this year. He's also a UC CPS ambassador in that program's charter year. He plans to attend University of Cincinnati's College of Engineering to study chemical engineering. He was a recipient of the Darwin T. Turner Scholarship, an engineering scholarship, and the UNCF scholarship. In other words, yes, they will be paying him to go to college. Over the last 6 years, I've seen Raphael grow into a leader of few equals, and it's just such a pleasure to see him grow and expand his reach. Raphael Hicks. Next, I'm very proud to introduce the salutatorian of the class of 2018 from Gilbert A. Dater High School, Ms. Vandanae Edwards. A student at Dater High School since the 8th grade, she is on the National Honor Society, has also used her Spanish skills as a teacher assistant in our English as a second language classrooms. She's going to get her STNA, or State Tested Nurse Aide license, through the Bridging the Gap program, and with a goal to work at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Vandanae is quite possibly the nicest person on the planet. So be sure to get to know her throughout the years. Thank you very much, Vandanae Edwards.
Mr. Jack Jost and Gamble Montessori.
Yeah, thank you. I regret to say that my valedictorian, Sean Dwyer, was unable to make it. But nonetheless, I share with you his accomplishments. Sean is a bright and thoughtful young man, the first of 6 siblings from his family to go through the halls of Gamble Montessori. He has been active in succeeding in his academic path while also showcasing his creative talent through Gamble's music production intercession. Sean was accepted into Hawaii Pacific University and offered the presidential scholarship from Hawaii Pacific University totaling over $75,000 and was admitted into their residential honors program, but was unable to attend and is very happy to be receiving a scholarship to go to the University of Cincinnati. In his spare time, he produces a YouTube channel, which the students tell me is very funny before they add, "You probably won't think it's funny, Mr. Jose." He has decided to attend UC, and he hopes to pursue a field related to international affairs, and one day you will see him working in the field of political science. Our valedictorian this year, Sean Dwyer. Our salutatorian was only able to be here for an hour, with the first hour with Parents for Public Schools. Sakaya Flanagan is an incredibly poised and confident young woman. She was active in the student voice initiatives to bring transparency and student involvement to the Board of Education's decision-making. While continuing to excel academically, she's been active in participating and was a key player on Gamble's basketball team as we made our deepest push in the playoffs in our school's history this year. She was the CPS Student Athlete of the Month in January. She was accepted into numerous universities, including UC, the University of Houston, Texas Southern, The Ohio State University, and Marshall. She will be attending the University of Houston and has been nominated to participate in the Honors College there. There, she plans to obtain her BSN, ultimately coming back to Cincinnati to fulfill her dream of opening free and affordable nursing clinics across the city. Gamble salutatorian, Sakaya Flanagan.
Ms. Kathy Wright in Hughes STEM High School.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our valedictorian for the class of 2018, Ethan Norris. Ethan is an outstanding young man. He has participated in the College Credit Plus program, the chess club, the Share It IT program, and the academic team. And he is looking forward to a career as a Cincinnati firefighter. He also solves a very quick Rubik's Cube. He's amazing. Thank you, Ethan. This year, Hughes has the pleasure of 4 salutatorians. Our first is a dynamic young man, Your Majesty Allah. Your Majesty is a student in our nationally renowned program at the Zoo Academy. He is a member of the UC Scholars. He's a member of the Association of Zookeepers. He is an active track and field runner and a member of the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative. He's won the Achievers Award for $2,000, the Education Diversity Scholarship for $32,000, the Hofstra Dean's Scholarship for $76,000, the Presidential Scholarship for $44,000. You want me to keep going? He's won a total of $186,800 in scholarships and grants. Your Majesty has chosen Indiana University in Bloomington, where he will major in animal behavior and journalism. Your Majesty, Allah. This next lovely lady has spent her entire senior year taking advantage of the College Credit Plus program with Cincinnati State. Our salutatorian for IT is Ms. Shekinah Dick. She is a member of our PBS News Student Reporting Labs, Student Senate, Science Club, the Inter-Alliance, and she has won scholarships from Cincinnati State and Northern Kentucky University. She is going to continue her education at Cincinnati State, graduating next year with an associate's in audio-visual video media production. That's it, Shekinah Dick. Our next salutatorian could not be here. She is running in a track meet tonight, but her name is Tamia Perkins. And Tamia is going to be pursuing a degree at the University of Cincinnati in health. She's a member of the College Credit Plus program, UC Scholars, cross country, track and field. She's a cheerleader, a member of Outdoor Adventure Club, the Health Occupation Students of America Club, and she is an ambassador for the Hawksworth Blood Drive at Hughes. Our Health and Bioscience salutatorian is Tamia Perkins. Our last salutatorian is also running in track today. Her name is Ariana Wingfield. Ariana is going to the University of Cincinnati, where she has won the UC Pride Grant, but she also won $48,000 from Alabama A&M for a scholarship there. She's a member of the National Honor Society, Student Government, the Senior Committee, cheerleading, track and field. Our other salutatorian is Miss Ariana Wingfield.
Next, we have Oyler and Ms. Randolph.
Good evening. It is my honor to recognize our valedictorian, Elizabeth Fahey. Lizzie has attended Oyler School since the 9th grade. At Oyler, she has served as a peer mentor and played girls varsity softball for 2 seasons. Lizzie is currently the assistant editor-in-chief of our school newspaper, the Oyler Griffin. Lizzie will be attending Thomas More College in the fall, where she will double major in creative writing and theater with a minor in communications. Thomas More College has currently awarded Lizzie the following scholarships and grants: the Dean Academic Scholarship, the Thomas More Saints Award, the Theater Award, the Thomas More Out-of-State Grant. These scholarships have a 4-year value of over $93,000. Congratulations, Lizzie. I would also like to introduce our salutatorian, Eddie Ferris. Eddie has been a student of the Oyler community since the 7th grade. At Oyler, Eddie is the communications officer for Jobs for Cincinnati graduates and has been a member of the MORE program for the past 2 years. Eddie will be attending the University of Cincinnati Blue Ash in the fall. There he will major in psychology to pursue his dream of becoming a counselor for adoptive families and children. Congratulations, Eddie.
Up next, Riverview East, Ms. Charlene Meyer.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Odalis Espinoza. Odalis is our proud valedictorian of Riverview East. She has been with us since her 9th grade year, and she entered into our nursing program. She continued that, and she's actually going to major in, and I hope I don't mess this up, neuroscience nursing. So the next time, I always think, when are we going to see our students again? You never know. She was a proud member of the National Honor Society. She participated in AP classes. She also earned her state tested nurse assistant certificate, and she also was part of the, did I say the National Honor Society? I'm sorry. And she participated in College Credit Plus this school year. And again, she has a full ride to Wittenberg University. Odalis Espinoza. Our co-salutatorians could not be here today, but our first is Jamie Erskine. She, as you heard earlier, is going to attend OSU and is part of the Young Scholars Program. Jamie Erskine. And our other co-salutatorian was part of the College Credit Plus program this school year, and she will be attending Ashland University. Thank you.
At CPA, Mr. Michael Owens.
Good evening, good evening. I'd like to introduce to you our valedictorian, Frances Timberlake. Frances first began at SCPA in 7th grade, where she began as a vocal music, drama, and writing major. Now, after 6 years, she will be graduating with honors and an artistic diploma in creative writing. At SCPA, she found that her writing could be fostered in many forms: narrative, poetry, journalism, and playwriting. Frances has earned regional and national recognition for her writing through multiple competitions and publishing opportunities. She is a 2018 Young Arts winner in writing, a 2018 United States Presidential Scholar in the Arts semifinalist, an Overture Award winner in creative writing, a National Scholastic Gold medalist, and she is one of 4 in the nation to have her play performed and produced at the National Thespian Conference this summer. Frances is the president of the SCPA Thespian Society, the editor of the SCPA Literary Magazine, a student representative for the Parent-Teacher-Student Organization, and writes for the SCPA's marketing team. Her creative writing pursuits will continue into the next 4 years as she will attend New York University's Tisch School of the Arts in Dramatic Writing. After college, Frances hopes to join the Peace Corps. From her many experiences at SCPA, traveling to China, Peru, and 4 countries in Europe, Frances feels that her greatest gift has been realizing the weight compassion holds in interaction. Her passion for humanitarian work is in fact an outgrowth of her reasons for loving theater. Watching something she has created on paper elicits a response in another person, in other people, and creating connections with individuals from different cultures, different countries, both stem from her desire for Frances has understanding of the experiences of others. As a student leader, Frances has impacted students and adults alike. She exemplifies the qualities that we as educators and parents seek to inspire in young people: empathy, sensitivity, humility, and an optimistic desire to effect change for good in the world. We wish you well as you continue in your future endeavors. Our salutatorian, Megan Long, could not be with us this evening because she has an orchestra performance. She is attending UC. She will be majoring in mechanical engineering. She received the Cincinnatus Century Scholarship and a departmental scholarship for the College of Engineering. Since arriving at SCPA, she has performed with groups such as the Northern Kentucky Youth Orchestra, Northern Kentucky Youth Symphonia, US SCPA Chamber and Symphony Orchestra, Carnegie Hall, the list goes on. So our salutatorian, Megan Long.
Mr. Larry Williams and Shroder High School.
Thanks, Mr. Miles. Hello, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to share the journey of the 2 young ladies that I've had the opportunity to meet when I came to the building. They were in the 7th grade. And so in the 7th grade, one of the things we took a look at academic data, of course, and I know I don't know if Jada remembers this conversation or not, but she took it to heart and she worked with it. And so in the building as an 8th grader, you know, you're in high school math class, and I told Jada, if you get an A in here, you can go into the 9th grade as #1 in the class. And so she took me up on that, and she has stayed there. But along the way, I think before we started talking about the growth mindset, she was a really feisty 7th grader and she grew along the way in some fantastic ways. She has demonstrated an eagerness to support and uplift others in her community. She volunteers at the rec center in her community. She was also selected as a peer leader for one of the leadership groups for the district. Jada has volunteered to tutor in the middle school. She is an excellent student and has made the honor roll ever since the 9th grade, which has resulted in her being the senior with the highest GPA in her graduating class. She's an academic achiever. She's very determined to be successful. She's participated in a variety of academic enhancements programs. She was selected for the University of Cincinnati's Information Technology Program, Miami University Scholars Program, the State of Ohio Teen Ambassador. In addition, she is a student who shows an unwillingness to expand her leadership skills, her academic experience through her involvement in academic undertakings. She's a varsity athlete with volleyball, basketball, and softball. This young lady has unbelievable energy, and she has excelled in academics as well. She works as well. A couple other items here for her. So that well-roundedness and a willingness to be an excellent student with a 3.8 GPA. You all know she's a young scholar. Along with the young scholar, which is some academic money, I don't know how much it's worth, but she also has over $60,000 worth of scholarship money from various scholarships. She's in College Credit Plus. She has taken 5 AP classes, and she is a leader. She's going to go to The Ohio State University as Business and Public Affairs. Jada Rogers. And so for our salutatorian who's not here, Ms. Tiana Mahalan, her and Jada were neck and neck all the way through from the 8th grade. This young lady has exuded self-confidence, independence, and resourcefulness. If she was here today, you might mistake her still for a junior high kid. But she is very modest young lady, excellent in the classroom. She has recognized for the top math and English in her classes. She was involved in the mathematic medal, an outstanding math student. She made sure I say this, that earned a 4 on the advanced placement in the AP language exam. She participated in College Credit Plus, and she has earned 12 hours of college credit. She's a member of the district's peer college collaborative, college readiness, and she's also in the National Honor Society. This young lady has taken 7 AP classes. She will be going to the University of Cincinnati, majored in journalism. She has 12 college credits, and she's National Honor Society. Thank you very much, Tiana Mahalan.
Mike Turner and Taft Informational High School.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is truly a pleasure to introduce these 2 young people. I'll have to say both of them, in addition to being top of their class, also have something else in common. They are both just 2 of the nicest young people that you would ever want to meet. And I've been in education a long time, and they really rank up there as 2 who, even though they're at the top, they put other people ahead of them. They're very humble, very kind, and so I do appreciate that about both of them. It's my pleasure to introduce Nay Jikiwa, who is our valedictorian. She will be graduating with a 4.3 GPA. She's had 20 semester hours credits earned in CCP classes. She's had AP classes, and she, in addition to all of that, has participated in softball, academic team, band, and our technology club. Nay will be interning at Cincinnati Children's Hospital this summer in the prestigious BRIMS program, where she will be working in a lab conducting research. In the fall, she will be attending the University of Cincinnati Uptown campus, where she will be studying biological sciences. Nay hopes to become a physician one day, specializing in cardiology. She will have a great bedside manner. I know that. Introducing Nay Jikiwa. Rico Gordon, our salutatorian, is graduating from Taft with a GPA of 4.0, with 11 college hours earned and AP classes as well. Rico has played basketball at Taft. He's the president of the Moore program as part of the Philanthropy Club and volunteers on the weekend. Rico will be interning at Cincinnati Bell, our partner in education, this summer for the second year in a row. In the fall, Rico will be attending The Ohio State University as a young scholar, as we heard earlier. He's received a full ride scholarship through that program. He will be studying business in hopes to own a successful business one day. And before I say my final words about Rico to introduce him, I have to say that I've known him since he was 10 years old, about this tall, part of my church, and he is definitely just a person that is so nice and so humble in what he does. And so I'm proud to introduce Rico Gordon.
Mr. John Chambers in Walnut Hills.
Good evening. I am so honored to introduce our valedictorian and salutatorian for the class of 2018. These two young men have exemplified what Walnut Hills High School is all about. Not only are they taking the most rigorous courses, but they are also both genuinely really good people. And I'm so proud to have these two as my first valedictorian and salutatorian as my time as principal. Yusef Saeed, our valedictorian, is a 6-year student at Walnut Hills High School. And one of my meetings with Yusef, kind of found out we were kindred spirits because he has a love of Batman. So that was one of my, he really impressed me with that. So, but Yusef will attend the University of Cincinnati and was awarded the presidential scholarship, and he plans to major in computer science and minor in entrepreneurship. Yusef has a 5.66 weighted GPA. Yusef has taken over 20 advanced placement and college credit plus courses and will be entering school in the fall with over 60 college credit hours. Yusef plans to one day become a CEO of a company that innovates and develops new technologies. And I know he is well on his way because when I met him a couple of weeks ago, he left my office and gave me his business card. So I figure he's well on his way there. And when I talked about these two young men, being wonderful people, Yusef also is a mentor at Douglas Elementary for the after-school clubs. Yusef has been awarded the Harvard Book Award, the National AP Scholar Award, and gold medals on levels 3 and 4 of the National Latin exam. So I'd like to introduce Youssef Saeed, valedictorian for class of 2018. Our salutatorian for the class of 2018 is Micah Kraus. Micah is a third-generation Walnut Hills student or graduate, upcoming graduate. Micah is also a 6-year student. Micah is going to attend Tufts University, and Micah has a 5.59 weighted GPA. You can see he's been slacking. Micah has taken over 14 AP and College Credit Plus courses, and he will enter college with 54 college credits to his record. Although he says his major is undecided, he said he has interest in economics, politics, and law, which I'm sure he's going to excel at either one or all three. Micah said he plans to become an economist and possibly enter the law field. And Micah also shares a couple of my passions. He is a cook. And the one thing he said that really stuck with me, he said he enjoys the impact that the things that he prepares have on people. So that just speaks to his heart and his character. And Micah has been awarded the Brandeis Book Award, Outstanding Achievement on the National Latin Exam, AP Scholar with Distinction, and he's a National Merit Commended Student. Class of 2018, salutatorian, Micah Kraus.
Dr. Blair and Western Hills High School.
Good evening. It is my distinctive honor and pleasure to introduce Western Hill University's valedictorian, Mr. Moses Harris. What strikes me about Moses is an amazing man amazing young man who has accomplished much despite many of his obstacles. He currently has a unweighted GPA of 3.76, and he scored a 31 on the ACT. Moses worked so hard that we actually had to, I had to actually coach him to take advantage of his senior year, and I shared this in the previous engagement we had, because Moses just is a relentless worker. So again, Moses Harris, and he is our valedictorian at Western Hills. Our salutatorian, Mustafa Juma, could not make it tonight. He is another individual who is worthy of a lot of accolades. He currently has a 3.73 unweighted high school GPA. He has been featured on Channel 9 News for his academic performance, and he is also a student athlete. He is on his way to Miami University with a full ride scholarship to further his education. Again, please help me salute salutatorian Mustafa Juma.
Next, Mr. Jack Corey and Withrow High School.
Good evening. Before I get into their individual accolades, I just wanted to say that I'm very proud to be the principal of this young gentleman and young lady who likes to laugh. And really it is. It's pride that these two students walk our hallways on Monday. Last Monday, we were talking about what do we want the Withrow grad to look like? And their names came up. These are the two people that exemplify what we want to have at Withrow. Our valedictorian, Kenneth, we have a proud international group of students, over 200 strong, and Kenneth is from Tanzania originally, moved here when he was 8 years old, and worked his way up to become valedictorian at Withrow. He's a well-rounded individual, has a 4.83 weighted GPA. Is also a track athlete, runs the 800 meters. He's getting almost close to a 2-minute 800. And he also participates in our international dinner, was part of our fashion show. He was Martin Luther King in our student written and produced Black History Month play. And he also went to C Camp and met Jimmy Buffett. He participates in our CCP classes. He's taken 5 of them and also 3 AP classes. And so, again, we're looking for great things as he goes on to UC to study IT. And he will miss his next track meet because he is interviewing for a full housing scholarship. So best of luck and congratulations. Tia Roberts is also one of the first students that I met. How do you not like that smile? And so Tia is going to Wright State. She has full tuition. You can clap on that. Her parents really appreciate that. She had a 4.7 GPA, weighted GPA. She's going to study biological sciences, but she's also a well-rounded person. She has cheerleading. She participated in basketball. She's National Honor Society. She was also in the new Student Voices program that the board had. She was part of Cincinnati Youth Collaborative and Zonta Club, and she'll also be participating in an internship at Cincinnati Children's Hospital this summer. Congratulations. Best of luck.
And Ms. Shauna Murphy, Woodward Career Tech High School.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Saving the best for last. Yes. It's my honor to introduce you to Woodward Career Technical High School's valedictorian, Ms. Tashayla Carter. One of the things I'm most proud of actually about both of these young ladies, they have been with us since the 8th grade when we initially had our 7th and 8th grade class. In addition to that, Tashayla is a Cincinnati Public School student. She came to us from Hartwell and prior to that, Sailor Park. So extremely proud of that accomplishment. Tashayla has been accepted at the University of Cincinnati, where she has decided to attend, and her goal is to earn a bachelor's degree in chemistry. She describes herself as dedicated, driven, and hardworking. And that's true in that her GPA is a 3.95. 3.95. One area of certification for Tashayla is ACT Work Keys, but in addition to that, she has a strong skill set in Microsoft Office, publishing, PowerPoint, Google, and Excel, as well as Word. Tashayla is a member of our academic team, our National Honor Society, and she has served our school as a student athlete. Our valedictorian, Tashayla Carter. Our salutatorian, Ayana Cottrell, also a 5-year student at Woodward, came to us from Bond Hill Academy. She is a member of our Health Technologies Academy as well, and she also will attend the University of Cincinnati, majoring in the healthcare field. She is a superstar in terms of earning some of the credentials offered at our school. She is certified medical assistant, phlebotomy technician, physical therapy aide, ACT work keys, CPR and first aid, and is state tested nurse aide. In addition to rigorous coursework she has done in our career technology classrooms, she's an AP student and a College Credit Plus student, and she's also a student athlete. One highlight being a student athlete was participating and playing on our CMAC championship volleyball team. Our salutatorian, Ayanna Cottrell.
Let's give all of our students a big round of applause. So at this time, I'm going to have Ms. Worley come up, and she'll tell us what our next action step is.
We're going to take a big old group picture. So with our board members here and our students. So if you guys will come on back up. Group picture. It'll take us a minute to get this. Yes, it's good. You guys come up to the front here. Intersperse yourself. All right, guys. We're gonna try to get you squeezed in here as much as possible. You guys take class pictures all the time, so you know what's up. So no, you don't. You don't. You don't. That's perfect.
I don't think so, man. Yeah.
You guys look good. Are you standing on a box? Or are you just that tall? No, okay.
Around so we can see everybody's faces. Jada, who's behind you? Eve. We can't see you.
How do we look?
Okay, good. I want to take 3 more. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Good. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Good. And here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Okay, on the count of 3, we're going to say CPS. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. CPS. All right. All right. We good, parents? We got it? All right, thank you, guys.
We don't even have a quorum. Excuse me, we need our board members. Board members?
Mike and Melanie, because Ryan left.
Oh, Ryan left. Mike Morosky up there?
Probably went to the
1, 2, 3, we have a quorum. Okay. Okay. So that was that was stunning. I'm lost for words, but we really are very, very proud of our future leaders. Lots of young people who excel in most of the things that they do, and very appreciative of this opportunity to recognize them. So moving on, the first item under our board matters agenda is just a dialogue about the board vacancy process, and Ms. Copeland Dansby is going to lead us in that discussion.
Thank you, President Jones. As we all know, we have a vacancy on the Board of Education that needs to be filled. And by state law, we have some very stringent rules that give us guidelines and the time by which it has to be filled. And so, based on board conversation, applications will open at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May the 8th. Applications should include a cover letter, an application, names and contact information for 3 references, and a resume. Applications will close at noon on Friday, May 18th. The board will meet at 9 a.m. on Monday, May 21st, in executive session to review applicants and identify candidates for interview. On Friday, May 25th, beginning at 7 a.m., the board will conduct candidate interviews. And in closing, an appointment will be announced by June 1st, 2018. This information will be listed on the CPS website so that folks can reference it as needed.
Thank you. Does any board members have any other comments? Okay. Ms. Bolton.
Yeah, and I know we've said this publicly and in very many different ways, but I know we're all very appreciative of Mr. Timmons' service, especially in those difficult months after the untimely death of Mr. Nelms, and appreciate his support and look forward to him now working directly with kids, and that's his love.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay, moving on. Mrs. Bolton, the Board Strategic Planning and Engagement Committee discussion.
Yes, thank you very much. As we all recall, last meeting we appointed the committee, and the committee consists of Vice President Copeland Dansby and Member Ryan Messer, and then myself, and the 3 of us now are currently working out to try to get a date to meet for the 3 of us in May, which I think we're getting close to doing that, and some additional dates in June, and we'll report back. And we also know that the superintendent and administration have worked out an opportunity for us to have some briefing if soon regarding what is a strategic plan and what are the options and what might be the range of that strategic plan. And I think I speak for the committee in that we are, particularly since we're calling it strategic planning and engagement, this is something that we really feel strongly will be community driven. And I think we've announced about the committee membership. And there's been some talk, too, about having both that steering committee membership and also making sure that everyone feels welcome to all of the meetings in more of a plenary kind of event as we convene. So we look forward to reporting back about those dates at the next meeting.
Okay, questions or comments? Ms. Copeland-Dansby.
I have a question, and I have to apologize in advance because I wasn't here, Board Member Bolton. Can you give me a conclusion about the membership of the committee?
Yes, it was determined to have 3 permanent members for the committee.
Of the board?
Of the board. And then there will be administrative representation, there will be community representation, and also union and collective bargaining unit representation. And I think it'll total, I believe it was 12 or so in number. And I think the big encouragement will be making sure that we have well-noticed public meetings so that we are able to make sure that every meeting has great participation and represents the great diversity of the district.
Other comments? Okay, Ms. Bolton, I've been thinking a lot about this committee, and as I expressed a few concerns at our last meeting, and some of the concerns have been addressed, but I still struggle with where the emphasis is on this committee, whether it be strategic planning or engagement or both, and what that would look like. And I'm not asking for a final plan, but as I've thought about this, a number of things have crossed my mind. One is that it seems to me that rather than create a new strategic plan, and again, not knowing if this is short-term, long-term, that we already have a plan, we already have a strategic initiative that has goals, strategies, measures, and all of that. And I'm wondering if that context, in the context that we're talking about this strategic plan here, if that follows that plan, includes that plan, or how does that work? That's one question. Okay. And then another concern I have, and I do intend to attend the first meeting when we find out, just so I can hear more and better understand what it is that I remember when we first had a conversation about this the latter part of last year, and it seemed to me that my recollection was that the focus was to be more so on a community engagement process. That seemed to be the primary focus, was on a community engagement process. And if you recall, because you were on that committee, we changed our bylaws to reflect community engagement added into all of the committees, because my thinking was the plan was moving forward on what would a community engagement plan look like. So again, I'm just expressing some concerns I have. Number one, and I'm going to say it again, I believe this is a full board initiative. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to conceptualize working through a committee given that. And even though I voted on that, I think there's a way to figure out how we involve the full board to some extent, how we involve the broader community, because I really don't feel the 5 representatives are going to be representative of the community, the broader community, and maybe those are things that come later. I don't know. So I'm interested in your or anybody's opinion about that.
Well, as the committee has not yet met, I have only personal opinion, but I will agree that there is, I won't agree, let's say that. I won't agree that we have a strategic plan as a district, classically. We have a collection of outstanding strategic initiatives that are done within the umbrella of the board's goals, within the envisions. And certainly we have the superintendent has begun to reorganize, if you will, the district and set particular goals that are internal as well as community-wide. We've changed, if you will, our emphasis as a district regarding community engagement and public affairs. So there's lots of things that are going on that we certainly want to capture. And we certainly don't, as we said last meeting, we do not want this effort to in any way hold up what indeed has been a great start, and that's why we put that October 1 kind of date in there, so that we would have a better sense of accelerating this rather than holding it up. I do think, though, that when we did, the previous board did an evaluation, the lowest scores for this board, scored by ourselves, against ourselves, was that we did not have a plan. The board did not have a plan, the district as such did not have a plan, and a collection of initiatives, and fortunately great organizational and strategic thinking by both our superintendent and treasurer and administration. And I also know very strongly, and this is why we've spent the time, the money, and the effort, and the results of the previous election, besides that internal measurement of no strategic plan and us not having ways to measure what we're accomplishing, my understanding too was that we were not doing a very good job of involving the community in what we're doing. We cannot make decisions that are only internal decisions. And so I think that there's an interwoven effort of the engagement and the strategic planning. And to answer the question about how to involve the committee and the community, that's why we really want to be talking about the plenary efforts of organizing. And so I think when the three meet and then we start to get the applications for the rest of the committee and do that selection, it'll be the role of the committee to have some discussion and bring back to the board, or start with the board about what's the anticipation. So I feel, when I first came on the board, there was a very specific strategic plan, one that I didn't think that much of, in part because it was so internal and so focused on certain things and certain measurements. And over the time, to be more flexible with our administrative leadership, that strategic plan kind of fell by the way, and instead we had flexible, dynamic, very proactive initiatives. And the most important initiative from the board is the equity policy, of course. So those are the kinds of things we'll have to take into consideration.
Mr. Morosky.
So in response to the concerns that you raised, and speaking as the most junior person here, and also somebody who was pushing for this committee to form, even though I ultimately am not finding myself on the committee. So again, speaking with my junior member hat on, I've been here for a few months now. I've learned a lot. I've heard from a lot of folks, and I've seen a lot of initiatives and a lot of things. And to your point, you said there's a lot of metrics and goals, but there's no, like, nobody can give me anything and say, and here's how we're going to get there by this time. And that's, when I think of a strategic plan, I think of the goals, the strategic things that we talked about in our retreat, but then also we're going to be here by this date, then we'll be here, and then in 5 years we can evaluate. I think we have a good plans on how to achieve these goals. I'm biased. I think we have a really good team. But as far as being able to look at a document, like when I asked Superintendent Mitchell at Westwood School, what if someone were to say, what's a Cincinnati public graduate look like? Laura was able to give it to me. In the same way, I think that's what a strategic plan can do. But then the second piece about the engagement. So I read all those minutes from last year, of course, from ad hoc about how engagement could be divvied up in all the different committees. The problem with that, from my perspective, is that this is a big system, right? And systems are designed to self-perpetuate and sort of stay the same. That's just what systems are. And so, in my estimation, if you just throw it to the committees are going to go to the public. I'll speak for myself. I'll go to the public on behalf of policy committee and say, here's what we're working on, I want your input. That's not community engagement. So if you have a strategic plan that begins with the community and they come in, they're then influencing the work of the committee, because then the strategic plan is going to give us work in committee that'll be defined by the public. So for me, it's just a different way of thinking. So when you have the tip of the iceberg, which is the results, right below that you have patterns. You can see patterns in our committee work. Below that, systems, and then down here is everybody. So I think that's how I see the difference regarding, because I hear you, it is kind of confused, like, wait a minute, so is it community engagement, it's this? I think it's together, and then the plan will dictate the work. So that's what I hope happens.
Ms. Bates? Thank you. Ms. Bates?
Yeah, I too have been struggling with this as Ms. Jones has been, and I think I can kind of put the finger on what I think the issue I'm having with this whole process is that we're lacking a visioning process. And that's our job. We are the ones to determine the vision of this district and then develop a strategic plan. And I see the visioning process as the most appropriate way to include and engage the community. So even before the work of the strategic planning committee can take place as far as strategic planning, either it's done at the, or it begins at the retreat, which, by the way, I'm on vacation, but, we have capable members that can continue the work, and I can always call in and listen. But I think that's the vital piece that this board hasn't addressed. And I would like the board to consider addressing that before we move forward with the actual work, not the nominations and all of that, but the actual work of this strategic planning committee.
Yes, can I just comment around that? And Ms. Copeland-Dansby after that. I think I understand all that, and maybe I'm coming from a different frame of reference, but I'm not disputing that maybe we need I like what you're saying in terms of visioning and a strategic focus. But I know for a fact when I was running for this seat and I attended the retreat that the board held at Taft Elementary School, this board used words like plan and strategies and goals. In my opinion, that's a strategic plan. Now, maybe it did not include everything in the vision that you had anticipated. So I'm suggesting as part of the conversation, when we begin that conversation, is that we possibly build on what we have, not create something that's new, because it not only has implications for changing everything that's already been done, but it also has crucial budget implications. That, so what I'm saying is I'm just asking for consideration when the committee meets as to where we stand right now with these strategic initiatives as you described, and where we're going in terms of a bigger vision, and maybe possibly somehow align or fold that in or somehow. So that's what. Ms. Copeland-Dansby first, and then you. Is that okay?
Well, when we initially talked about this, putting together this strategic planning committee, it was born out of my request to re-engage PPE. I don't know if you guys can remember that or not. So when we got into the whole conversation that we would just fold PPE into every committee, which I agree with Mike, and I've said all along, it's too challenging to do, then we jump over to, well, let's push PPE, let's push public community engagement over here, which minimalizes it, in my opinion. Create the strategic planning committee that only consists of 3 people, then I go away for a week to work, and then we've got 12 more people joining the committee. I don't understand it either. So for me, in my participation in the committee, I need to understand where we're actually going with this. If I were a board member who were not a part of strategic planning for the board, I wouldn't like that. I think it's a full board conversation of some sort. So I'm really not interested in creating a whole nother committee that does some work aside from getting some concrete goals, some measurables, some dollar figures that go along with it, how that engages with our academic progress of our students, and community engagement.
Well, the board took action on it. If the board wants to undo the action, the board can do that. That's not the will. So
I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah, and so I'm not looking for the business, but we're reacting to what we evaluated last year, which was we didn't have one, we didn't feel like we'd had. To the point of visioning, we have to ask ourselves as a full board, it won't be the strategic planning committee that'll do it, but as a full board, do you want to change our goals, our vision, okay, and our mission. That is full board work, and that could be part of it, but the reality is we've kind of gone from the assumption, and perhaps we shouldn't, we've gone from the assumption that we are keeping the vision that we have and the mission that we have and the goals that we have and working from there. Now, if the whole board wants to change, and we've had it for, I think, five years, I think, the great this, great that, great whatever. And I know we've been pleased with it, and we've also added the equity piece. That's full board work, and that could also be some of the stuff that the strategic plan would say that needs to be in place, but that's a board decision if you want to change the vision and the mission and the goals, and that would be useful if we want to. And then from the committee standpoint, I think that's what the work is initially, is to get through some of these things, to come back to the board with some questions, some concerns, and some issues, and to try to get the some of the rudimentary things at least in place, some of the mechanical things. I will say, though, that as much as we have these fabulous strategic initiatives, and as much as we created a vision and mission and those goals 5 years ago or so, they did not include a great deal of community engagement. It was a board operation, and we did not involve the community. And I think we've paid the price for that for a number of years, and I think that has to be part of the focus.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. As a matter of fact, that's why I said earlier, couldn't we build on the current strategic initiatives? And I like the idea of visioning, what have you. If we build on it and focus more of our efforts around incorporating a strong community engagement process. But I also want to say, because I think it's important, and I'm going to speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. I think what has happened in my case is that I've kind of lost some of the information talked about from last year to this year, because we did pass unanimously that vote on the PPE plan. We did, it was unanimous. And I did go back and I reread it and everything, and then especially when we started talking about this strategic planning and community engagement initiative, and I am fully supportive of it. It lost context for me. And I think like these kinds of conversations are conversations we probably should have had all along and thinking about it, and we just didn't get to it. So now we have to go back and spend our time trying to clarify what the purpose is. But what I don't want is for us to just go through this and, you know, I keep hearing this timeline for October and not be sure that this is what we're gonna do. We have to just recognize what this is. And if it means visioning or whatever, then we have to do it. But I personally don't think we should let go of our current strategic initiatives because it's not completed. Ms. Bolton?
I think I've said publicly 3 times when we've discussed this, that what we're doing should not stop, should not wait, and indeed it does need to be incorporated. That's why we even suggested the October 1st so that we get some of this early stuff figured out. The point that is being made, though, in this effort is to say, you know what, the community has a right to participate, and the community has a right to determine the destiny of the district. It can't be 7 board members, and it can't be the superintendent with all of the wonderful administrative folks that we have. And I think the community will embrace the opportunity to help. And it's not to change or undo, if anything, between the efforts of Superintendent Ronan for a decade and now this absolutely inspiring year that we've spent with our new superintendent, the reality is we're on a platform for a great launch, but the people in the community have to know that they are helping determining the future of the district. It can't just be us. It has to be, it's their schools and their district.
Mr. Morosky? Mr. Morosky?
To piggyback off that, I just have to say that the notion of slowing down right now is astonishing to me, because at our board retreat, We had 7 of those strategic goals. We agreed all 7 of them were fine, but one was duplicative, and we replaced it with strategic planning. That was in January. Then the idea of a charter for this committee, after we talked about it a lot, was kicked to policy. The board had it for weeks. We talked about it one more time at our last policy committee, and then we passed it. And so quite frankly, it's May. And the idea that we're having this conversation to slow down, to me, again, to repeat, is astonishing. And I read this survey as well as everybody here, and just to echo Board Member Bolton, I mean, it was pretty loud and clear that the community feels like they're disengaged. And I don't know that there's a sense of urgency to have it by October. I'm not saying that, but I think we have to go forward with this. And I've said in these meetings a couple times that I do think it has to be a committee, or it's not going to get done. And we don't all have time. We tried to get a meeting of all 7 of us. It took an hour. So it has to go to committee. It needs to be focused. I trust Erica, Eve, and Ryan to do it. And then if we can go to the meetings, we can. But I don't think anybody, I'm not, I'll speak for myself as well. I'm not lobbying to do away with the strategic goals that I inherited. I think they're awesome. The ones that I saw at the retreat last year when I was campaigning, and then the same ones we saw here. All we did was say, let's give it a focus. So I also would like, again, to remind everybody that the charter that Melanie, Eve, and I had, everybody had and had seen, and it had the amount of people on the committee, it had the rules and everything in there. So I think we need to move forward with it.
I think we can move forward. We don't need to, I mean, the reason why I brought it up is because these are the kinds of questions that are going to probably be asked in the committees. And I don't want anybody, you know, I'm hearing this thing about, it's sounding like that I'm being made to disagree with the focus on community engagement. I am not. I believe in that fully. I support the committee because there's nothing we can do about that. All I'm saying is we need to consider what we have now, and as long as you can put that on the table at the committee about how we work within what we have, instead of creating a whole new process where it's gonna start off with a whole new plan. I'm just saying include what we have and consider the budget implications. Yes,
well, you know me, I always like to consider the budget implications. But I just want to make sure we're clear. The October deadline is for the rudimentary mechanical kinds of things to be done. The plan, strategic and engagement plan, is not supposed to be done until 2020, if I recall that, the final one or something, if I recall, the January of 2020. So this early stuff, the reason we were emphasizing the October was to indeed incorporate and also do an assessment of what we have. I'm a big assets, figure this out, put it up on the wall, what we're doing. And I think that will take that time to do that, and get the community involved and get the collective bargaining unit folks involved, and which is actually required by the contract because it's long-range planning. So I think if you as president, we can have a discussion and keep bringing this back, I think it would be very useful. And I think the 3 of us talking and involving the administration in that effort would be great.
Right, yeah. I agree with that. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So do we have a mechanism to measure whatever this deal is about community engagement in each committee?
I know one thing that I can do in student achievement. We have to move from our original room. So I think it's engaging. We even do community reports where some of the stuff's coming from the field. And I know that I think finance has had pretty wonderful attendance as well. Policies had great attendance. There's a big difference in the committee meetings now than even last year from a standpoint of participation. The LSDMC handbook, and I appreciate the administration kind of embracing that. The student conduct, we've had people report that are from the community. So I think one measurement, frankly, and I hate to be so rudimentary, but is attendance and who's speaking. So I think we've been excited about at least the student achievement.
Well, that's good to know. When we get to assignments, I probably will ask for a more measurable way to make sure that we're doing that. I will publicly publicly state that I completely disagree with not having a standalone community engagement committee as we used to have in the past.
Other questions or comments before we move on? Okay, and Ms. Bolton, I think we will have this on the agenda frequently.
Great.
To have these kinds of conversations and discussions. Thank you. Does anyone have any kudos? Any kudos?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Morosky.
I give a kudos to the Clark Montessori Cougars had a booster club golf benefit on Saturday that I played terribly in, and there were
The slide of your outfit?
I did terrible. Oh, you're talking about my yeah, well. It wasn't going to bring that up. But the students that were there that helped put it on did a great job, and all the parents at Clark, I want to give them kudos. Golf outings, they may look easy, but as anyone who's done fundraising knows they're a pain to put on, and it rained the entire time, but everyone stayed out and had a great time, so kudos to the families that put all their efforts on that, stood out in the rain, and they raised some good money for the Booster Club. So the Clark Cougars and the kids who were there helping.
Great.
I had a kudo for, not surprisingly, for AWL and their international festival, the close of the year festival. It simply is singularly impressive, and it just makes you so proud. And I don't know how many languages are represented there, but the performance was the best yet, as I understand, and the food was wonderful, but most particularly, you were looking at the world when you go to that school. And I'm thrilled, too, that there's going to be a school-based health center there located as well for our folks. It's very impressive.
Thank you. And I have a kudo congratulating John P. Parker School for their early literacy program. The room was full with parents, students, siblings, community, partners. They had it at a hotel, got it for free over there by MedPace out in Madisonville. They did pretty good. And it was a great keynote speaker who is a lady, she's a journalist actually, and she is tracing her history. And the kids were just looking at her like with stars in their eyes. And she's tracing her history and actually found out her family, of course, great-great-great-grandfather was a slave, and she has traced it back at least that far and plans to continue it as far back as she can, at least until she runs out of money or something. But it was an excellent program, and I was very pleased to represent the board at that. Any other kudos?
I have one.
Yes.
We've had a great night. One of my best or fun times when we have the valedictorians and salutatorians, and I'm so glad that there's been an increased awareness, and thank you to our parents for their support of our students. But I don't think anyone has said thank you to our staff, and thank you to our teachers.
That's right.
Thank you to our principals. And just an honor to stand over with our superintendent, and I said, you should be so proud, Superintendent Mitchell, because you have an amazing team and you all work very, very hard. So kudos to our team that teach our students.
Okay, Ms. Bates, please present the retirements.
Yes, of our certificated personnel, the retirements are Chadwick M. Flagg, Martha C. Walsh, and from our civil service personnel, Christine Davis Elder. So we thank you all for your service to our children and wish you well in the future.
Thank you. We are now at the item on our agenda for hearing the public. Each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, and Mrs. Wagner will be our timekeeper. When the buzzer goes off, your 3 minutes are up. Please refrain from discussing any personnel items. When your name is called, please come to the podium to speak. Our first speaker of the night, and there are 4, so I'm just gonna read them all. Marlena Brookfield, Michelle Dillingham, Jacqueline Ennis, and Meredith Blackmore.
Hello again, esteemed board members. I think Michelle Dillingham left, actually. So what I want to talk to you about tonight, so the board is currently reviewing and updating the district LSDMC handbook and policy 9142. I want to speak about one of the proposed changes in particular, which is the one to change the status of student representatives from voting to non-voting members. Some of you are already aware of how I feel about it, but I'm not alone in my opposition to this. Several administrators, teachers, fellow LSDMC members at other schools, and student representatives across the district are concerned and frankly outraged. The most succinct summary of their responses is, how dare you? How dare you deny them an active role in making decisions that affect them in their school environment every day? How dare you underestimate them? They're voting members now according to policy 9142. So at some point, it was believed they were mature enough and had the wherewithal to handle the responsibility. So what changed? It would seem that by being willing to step up and serve as a student representative, they're demonstrating a modicum of maturity and responsibility. Likely, these are students who are already actively engaged, and they know what they're about. It would be a slap in the face to these members to have their voting ability revoked. By the time they graduate, most of our students are at least 18, old enough to drive a car, old enough to go to war, old enough to vote. We want them to have developed the skills to be successful in life and become full participants in our democratic system. But so many people, not just students, are out there seeing a system that seems to be crumbling a little more into ruin every day. And they're feeling so disenfranchised, so disillusioned with the whole process, they just check out. We're seeing people get elected to do what's in our best interest and then using the position to do what's best for themselves. Is it hard to imagine them thinking, why bother to participate? Why would you do something that reinforces that feeling of powerlessness? My final point that I want to make is that your end game with reviewing the handbook is to revive and strengthen LSDMCs, which I'm all for. But a decision like this, in a time like this, in this political climate, it'll have the opposite effect. And I extend an open invitation to all the board members, Superintendent Mitchell, Ms. Wagner, if you were so inclined. Dater High School's next LSDMC meeting is Monday, May 21st at 3:45. Welcome to join us. Thank you.
Ms. Michelle Dillingham not here? Okay. Jacqueline Ennis?
Hello. My voice is a little hoarse. I apologize. I thank you for allowing me to be here. I want to say congratulations to Ms. Mitchell for being Cincinnati Public Schools' new superintendent. Before I have something I want to read, and it would not be right for me to read this without first acknowledging, without stating any names, the person who at this board in this building allows me to come and express my concerns to him. And I just want to say thank you. I just want to read this, please. Committing an act of cruelty to children or an act of child endangerment, physical abuse, mental injury, emotional abuse, provoking an altercation between students, acknowledging, contributing to, or knowingly failing to intervene in the harassment, intimidation, or bullying of a student, willfully omitting and being negligent in reporting information regarding the evaluation of students and/or personnel. An educator is entrusted with information that could be misused to embarrass or damage a student's reputation or relationship with others. Using confidential student, family, or school-related information in a non-professional way, gossip, malicious talk, or disparagement. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce that word properly. And what I have read is from the Ohio State Board Licensure Code of Professional Conduct for Ohio Educators. And my goal here today, and I would like to see this in the hands of every Cincinnati Public School parent, student, caregiver, and guardian. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I also add, if you don't mind, I would like to put my email address out there for anyone who would like to contact me concerning this. My email address is JEMAIL, that's L, I'm sorry, the number 2, the letters DAY. That's JEMAIL 2, the number 2, day at yahoo.com. Because I think this is important that the parents needs to have these. Thank you.
Thank you. Meredith Blackmore.
Good evening. My name is Meredith Blackmore. I now understand the process for filling the vacant Board of Education seat, but would nonetheless like to recognize a very deserving candidate. I live in Cincinnati and am a public school teacher myself. As an educator, I see the importance of experience and dedication in making decisions that will impact the lives of countless students. Renee Avia hired me as a teacher. I was taking her position as a Spanish teacher while she was moving into an administrative role within the same district. Renee has always been an inspiration to me as an educator, one who consistently worked to put students first while improving herself. As a national board certified teacher herself, Renee mentored me for 2 years while I also pursued and achieved national board certification. Decisions about education should be made by educators who are the top in their field and passionate about putting all students first. Renee Avia was the runner-up for the CPS School Board last November by 28 votes. The voters of our city clearly support her and her dedication. I respectfully request that Renee Avia be strongly considered for the vacant school board seat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to each of our speakers. Okay, we're moving on to our resolutions. Mrs. Bates, would you please read the resolution for board consideration?
Yes. On behalf of the board, I have a resolution in recognition of Teacher Appreciation Week, May 7th through the 11th, 2018. Whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas education and knowledge lay the foundation for the future of our children, and whereas teachers play a crucial role in building a foundation for success that follows students well beyond the classroom, whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors, and whereas teachers are actively committed to helping children explore their abilities, strengths, and interests, and whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers consistently demonstrate their ability and commitment to students through their willingness to give their time, energy, talents, and ideas, and whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community, now therefore be it resolved that the Cincinnati Board of Education proclaims May 7th through 11th, 2018 to be Teacher Appreciation Week, and be it further resolved that the Cincinnati Board of Education strongly encourages all members of our community to join in with personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work. I move this resolution for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ms. Wagner, please call a roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby.
Yes.
Mr. Morosky.
Aye.
President Jones.
Aye. Ms. Bolton, in place of Mr. Messer, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Yes, thank you. It's a resolution approving additional students eligible for subsidy, or as we know it better, reimbursement in lieu of transportation for the school year 2017 to 18, the current school year. And I submit as written on behalf of Mr. Messer and hope for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Aye.
Ms. Bolton.
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby. Mr. Morosky.
Aye.
President Jones.
Ms. Spates, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Yes, I have a resolution approving the waiver of Board Policy 5465, commencement exercises, and allowing certain students to participate in commencement exercises. I move this resolution to be for adoption as printed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Did you get the second, Treasurer Wagner? Okay. Discussion? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates.
Aye.
Ms. Bolton.
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby.
Aye.
Mr. Morosky.
Aye.
President Jones.
Aye. Ms. Bolton, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Yes, coming from both the revision of the LSDMC handbook and also work in the policy committee, presenting two policies that have been revised. One is Board Policy 7500, which is about community learning centers, and it's in, you have the red line version of that. The major change of it is addressing a little bit more regarding the academic growth and positive school culture reference. Also, we found that indeed with the community learning centers policy, it was, I believe, it's a hallmark policy, 7500. And so there were minor corrections and changes in dealing with some of the powers that the LSDMC, the community learning centers deal with. And then, should I do each of them or can I do both of them at the same time?
If you clarify why they're together, because I
Okay.
had that question.
They are together because they are both going to be moving, I think, into the 9100s. Community Learning Centers was classified as 7500 series because of its facilities. And really, it's really much more about community engagement. And so that's why they're together. And then the second one, which is in the 9000 series, is dealing with parent and family engagement. And very frankly, that's all that it deals with. And the reality was we don't have, and I know policy is beginning to work on this, we don't have a community engagement policy. And I know that Ms. Worley has started on that effort as well. This is specific to parents and families, whereas the one that's in evolution is going to be about community engagement itself, a much broader piece. So the community learning centers is moving into the 9000s and out of facilities with those changes that you see before you. And parent and family engagement has the changes, particularly things like including direct communication regarding students, academics, behavior, and attendance. There's a reference regarding support systems for students and families, local or district-wide parent councils, and advisory groups for specific purposes. So we're widening those things that we want to see parents and families involved with. Those are the revisions out of policy. I don't know if the chair has anything from policy, but they grew out of the LSDMC efforts because these are also included in the LSDMC handbook.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion or comments?
One
Yes.
thing, do we need to vote separately on them?
No?
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
no?
one is
Includes both of them.
Yeah.
changing, you're rescinding one? You're not rescinding it, right? But you're changing the language?
Yes,
Okay.
for both of them.
I don't think you do.
The resolution.
Same resolution.
The resolution takes care of it.
Resolution, yeah.
So the resolution is community learning centers and parent-family engagement, whereas the Cincinnati Board of Ed is reviewing the existing board policies. The Board of Education has determined revision of the current board policies are in order to make consistent with current state laws and what have you.
Ms. Copeland Dansby.
As it relates to board policy number 9140, parent-family engagement, I just want to be clear with the committee chair, I guess I'm asking. It's been mentioned that the committee is widening this policy. Is there anything that's restricting parental and/or family engagement at all? Or taking anything away?
No, that would not be the intent.
I didn't think so. So I just wanted to be clear, because I see some strike through, and I think I'm following the, family-friendly partnership and that. So is that just cleaning up language?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Can I ask this question?
Yeah.
Because one of the things is part of policy's work plan. You're reviewing all of the policies in the district and administration. This is part of that sort of cleanup and cleaning up the language that came from, it's the clarification came from administration. And so all these policies now are waiting on the policy committee's review, and that's where that came from, I'm trying to say, right?
Right, it's cleaning up language, but it's also, being more specific about the way that families can participate, so.
Okay.
So the intent is.
So it's broadening the
Yes.
language. Okay, thank you.
So back to my question. My question directly was about the family-friendly partnership in the schools and that. Is that just cleaning up language? It's in that top paragraph. Looks like the pages aren't numbered, but.
Right, oh, that first
9140,
paragraph.
right. Is that just cleaning up language?
I mean, we thought that was very similar to the second paragraph.
Okay.
And that it was superfluous.
Well, that's the only strike through, basically, except for where we talk about measuring effectiveness and accountability, but I see what you've done with that. But then you added suggested formal or in-school opportunities. Like, that's an addition. And then my question was, is this a strike through just because we're cleaning up language?
Well, we are, because that's not really policy. It's just kind of an introduction.
Yeah. Okay.
I would add real quickly on that policy, I think to your point, cleaning up language, we think the next to last paragraph, it's much more assertive. Every school shall have at least one.
Yes.
That's stronger. And then we've also, over the years, seen where we have a number of different kinds of groups that are quasi-parent and family groups, and we wanted to make sure that those were in as well.
Right, and I think what I heard you and the chair say is this is not an exhaustive list. This is
Exactly.
suggested, right? So, okay, yep.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby?
Yes.
Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
President Jones?
Aye. Mr. Morosky, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Yes, it's my pleasure to present a resolution rescinding Board Policy 9210, Citizen Organizations, and as dramatic as that may sound. So we are, it's come to the Policy Committee's attention that, just to piggyback off what you were saying, President Jones, that policy, we have a lot of policies, and they haven't had a real deep dive cleanup in some time. And so we're starting that process. We spent our first couple policy committees lining up the different series based on importance and when the last time they're even looked at was. And so we're starting, as is the theme of this evening, I think, this engagement. We started with reaching out in the community. So we're in 9,000 right now, and this policy was duplicative of policy 9212. So I present the resolution as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby?
Yes.
Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
President Jones?
Aye. Ms. Bolton, In Mr. Messer's absence, would you please present the resolution for board consideration?
Is that because I'm at Messer's table?
Because you have the paper right in front of you.
Okay. Yes, happily. Cincinnati Public Schools, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. I submit as written, and perhaps if the treasurer would want to describe what that is after we have a first and a second, that might be good. I submit as written.
Was there a second?
Did you ask her to clarify?
If we get a second, well, then she can
Is there a
tell us.
second?
Second.
Any discussion or comment? Ms. Wagner?
I'd be happy to clarify. So this is an annual process. The Hamilton County Auditor revises the tax rates that are charged on people's bills, property tax bills, based on the valuations. So the millage rates fluctuate sometimes based on new valuations, new construction. And so this is just an annual process where we adopt those rates. Then we use that to generate and calculate our forecasted revenue.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comments? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates? Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby?
Aye.
Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
President Jones?
Aye. Thank you. Superintendent Mitchell, do you have a report?
I do. I have so many wonderful things to say. I'm going to hold some things until the next meeting, but I do want to highlight just a couple of things. First of all, it's with great sadness that we acknowledge that 2 of our Cincinnati Public School staff members have passed away, and you may have noticed that in the recommendations. Michelle Calhoun and Arlene Gianamore passed away, and so just wanted to acknowledge those 2. On a little bit of a happier note, this year we launched our very first My Tomorrow Day Talent Showcase. Rolanda Smith, Tracy Stillwell, Michelle Hughes, Butch Gibson, Izzy Rudnick did a outstanding job. So it was on a Friday evening, and it was the best night. Marlena was there as well. For those of you who don't know, Marlena was my student when I was the principal of Westwood School, and so to see her now with her own 9th grade is just very exciting.
Oh, that's amazing.
But I wish that you all would have been able to see it. We had, our host was Ashley Brown from Channel 5 TV. We had a jazz combo. We had little preschoolers from Vine playing the violin. We had Rockdale students who were doing gymnastics. They learned gymnastics at their school. What they are getting for free through Cincinnati Public Schools has cost me an arm and a leg. It is amazing, all of the things that these kids are doing. We had a little girl who did rapping. She was from AWL, and then you had a step show from the Men of Moore at Cheviot. It was a good, wonderful, fun time. There were lots of parents and community here, so our very first, we're gonna make it bigger and better for next year. So congratulations and a big thank you to all of those who supported our young people and actually made it happen. The other thing that I would like to highlight is that this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and so we would just really like to acknowledge all the teachers within Cincinnati Public Schools, and I have a very short video clip to show you one of our teachers.
My mom did daycare when I was little. I was the kid who played school. You know, it's like, okay, everybody, I want to be the teacher. My name is Becky Arlington. I teach 2nd grade math and science at Mount Airy School. I knew I was going to be in education, but I also knew I'd be in urban education. I like the fast pace, so this is definitely my speed. It's who I am. I am a teacher.
She not only works with the kids, but she helps staff as well. She's the team leader for 2nd grade. She helps them not only gather the data, but they use the data to help improve instruction.
I'm constantly thinking about what's next. How did I do yesterday? What can I do better tomorrow?
Her students come first. She will go above and beyond each and every day to make sure that they are getting what they need.
I have the highest expectations for all of my kids, and I let them know that when they come in the door. I love these kids. These are my kids. I'm Becky Arlington, and I am CPS.
How are young girls? Great video.
Thank you to all of our teachers who do an amazing job each and every day on behalf of our kids.
That's it. That's it. Thank you so much. They do. a wonderful job, as you stated. Thanks. Okay. I need a motion to approve the recommendations of the superintendent.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Ms. Wagner, any discussion? Ms. Bolton?
Yes. This is just a kind of reminder from last year. It may have even been earlier this school year, but I think it's left over from last year. On pages 2 and 3 are listed test coordinator supplementals and also technology coordinator supplementals. And I have a couple of questions about that, but the overall piece was that as we were dealing with supplemental contracts in student achievement last year and this, I believe we determined, not the committee, but I think the administration obviously had agreed, and maybe it's here, that this nearly $100,000 for both of those together would not necessarily be coming from Schedule E dollars. So just to clarify, this $100,000 for test coordinators and for tech folks is separate from supplemental, which then gives us $100,000 for direct student. Great, thank you.
As a result of our conversations and negotiations, this was pulled out of Schedule E, and it is set up in a separate budget.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
Aye.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby?
Aye.
Mr. Morosky? Mr. Morosky?
Just say aye.
We're voting on the superintendent's recommendations.
Aye.
President Jones?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, there are several items on our agenda for inquiries and updates.
Treasurer.
Oops, please call the roll. I did I just did the treasurer's report. It was motioned and seconded.
That was the superintendent.
That was superintendent. Promise.
Okay, all right. Is there a second? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Discussion? Okay, and the reason I got that confused is because that's why we asked her to discuss, because it had been moved and seconded, and we waited until we moved and seconded before we asked for a discussion. Okay, Ms. Wagner, please call the roll.
Mrs. Bates?
Aye.
Ms. Bolton?
I don't, aye.
It's clean. It's clear out. It's
Copeland
clean, I
Dansby?
promise you.
Okay. We didn't discuss, but I don't have anything to say.
Mrs. Copeland Dansby?
My mind is absolutely clear on the treasurer's report.
Vote aye.
I say yes to the treasurer's
Mr. Morosky?
Aye.
President Jones?
Aye, and I did. I promise you. Okay. So under inquiries and updates, the regular business meeting that was scheduled, I think everybody knows that why that's on there. There was a change in that date. We added that meeting on that day, and then there's been a change since. So it's a non-issue, right? Okay. All right. And then we also are in need of someone to do the Woodward graduation due to Mr. Timmons leaving. Is there anybody at the table who can do it?
Mr. Messer said to me, coming out of the boardroom, that it's possible he could do it, but if somebody would perhaps check with Mr. Messer, and then I'm sure we'll find, if he can't, but he said he thought he would be.
We'll find somebody, yeah. Okay. Ms. Bolton, the next two items are yours as updates, and hopefully they're brief updates.
Yep, unless anybody asks questions, they'll be real brief. Here we go. Later start times, as you know, we've been working on that for 2 years. And we've been doing some engagement through the engagement department, and we are reaching a conclusion by the end of May. That was the assignment, that there'll be a report coming out of student achievement and out of the engagement group as to what to do and what not to do. And it's my understanding that the initial decisions are that we won't be putting anything in place for next year regarding later start times, in part because we're not yet convinced of all the things that have to be considered, and certainly there's a lot of logistical issues as well. And it's possible that as we move to that 7-hour day and that 7-bell day, there might be some adjustments in high school schedules, but we have to make sure the community doesn't think that that's necessarily related to the later start as much as it's in the instructional day. So an update is that we will have a report out of student achievement of all the things that we found out and all the things that the parents have suggested. And we even have an editorial from somebody's alma mater here. Vice President Copeland Dansby.
Where the good folks are.
The Walnut Hills folks did a survey and then wrote about it. And so we have also student voice involved. So we'll be back on the last meeting in May from student achievement, and we'll have a summary report, not necessarily any recommendations, but a summary report.
Thank you. Budget priorities?
Budget priorities, I think we just continue to discuss that. I took a little bit of my time and I submitted to the superintendent some reactions and questions from the presentation that we had the other night. Appreciate it, which really emphasized all of the wonderful initiatives, dealt with $60 million or so dollars. And if it would be all right, I'll just submit those questions and give copies of those questions to the, we're supposed to do it through, I think, Ms. Davis, and I have those, so then she'll hand them over to the superintendent.